It's that spoopy time of year again, folks, so let's take a look at 5 of the all-time greatest horror movies. With the genre bursting with so much gold, it is nearly impossible to select just 5, but here's what I would consider to be the best of the best, and certainly, if nothing else, some of the most significant in the genre for various reasons. Let's start with the obvious, the key horror film, and certainly the first in my mind whenever I think of the genre. John Carpenter's iconic masterpiece of slasher suspense, Halloween, was a horror trendsetter, with its influence strongly felt today, especially with the film's legacy coming full circle in 2018's direct sequel. With a career-launching performance from a young Jamie Lee Curtis and some sensational synthing from the maestro himself, John Carpenter, on the soundtrack, the film is not only one of the best horrors, but undoubtedly one of the best films of all time. A truly iconic piece of work, with the first appearance of horror's scariest villain. But while John Carpenter's Halloween spent a lot of time masterfully crafting suspenseful build-up to each scare, Tobe Hooper's Texas Chainsaw Massacre chucked us in at the deep end, and the film's only intention was to scare the shit out of us with its relentlessly harrowing onslaught of terror. The last 15 minutes are some of the most uncomfortably frightening scenes ever committed to film, and I don't think any other film has ever come close to such visceral and non-stop horror. Like almost all horror films, it was buried under countless sequels and reboots, but there's no denying the raw power of the original. Now here's a film that I would say did something very different with the genre, and yet still ended up being one of the most powerful and I think frightening horror films ever made. Instead of focusing on a singular weapon-wielding nutter, the film turns the villainous spotlight on a whole group of deluded folk. When Sergeant Howie is sent to the island of Summer Isle to investigate a missing child, things get stranger and stranger until a very iconic encounter with a certain Wicker Man. Mixing horror with musical and sometimes comedy, the Wicker Man is a very uncomfortable and frightening journey into the heart of darkness. We just don't talk about the remake. Some remakes and readaptations, however, can actually be very, very good. Last year's It, for example, is a modern horror masterpiece, despite being met with almost unanimous fear from film fans when it was announced. "Nobody can ever top Tim Curry," we cried. All our worries went away as soon as the terrifying film was released. An affectionate 1980s set take on the story, the film's hilarious young cast are all future stars, and Bill Skarsgård's portrayal of Pennywise is certainly one of the most memorable horror performances of recent years. Despite harrowing violence, It was very much a return to the fun horrors of the decade in which the film is set, and just a great bit of big screen entertainment. Adapting Stephen King's 1,000-page plus epic is a big feat though, and with this film acting merely as Chapter 1, I'm very excited for Chapter 2 next year. And finally, a reminder that even in 2018 there are new directions to take the horror genre. John Krasinski's critically acclaimed masterpiece A Quiet Place takes you in a world where murderous beasts roam the land with super-sensitive hearing. If they hear you, they hunt you. Despite the horrors these beasts deliver, the film is also a very powerful drama about family and grief. This is absolutely a future classic and one that will certainly stand the test of time. Although in this instance I'm a little bit worried about 2020's confirmed sequel. Does A Quiet Place need a sequel? I don't think so, but as long as we have horror, we will have sequels. Lots and lots of sequels. That's just a tiny selection of some of the gold the genre has to offer, and hopefully if I've missed your favourite you can at least see a link between your choice and one of the 5 above. Maybe it was influenced by early slasher fare like Halloween, or it falls into the surprisingly good remake category, or maybe like A Quiet Place or The Wicker Man, it brought something new and different to the genre. Horror is certainly packed with some of the finest films known to humanity, and we'd love to hear your favourites in the comments below. Happy Halloween!